How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be painting my door panel trim on my 2003 Saab 9.3 Arc. There's really only one reason why I'm going to be painting the door panels on this car, and that is because I, a long time ago, put the Aero shifter trim in, which is silver instead of wood, like that. So generally on Aeros, that wood panel, or that wood trim right here on the door panel, is usually silver. Ever since I replaced the wood shifter trim with the silver Aero one, the wood on the door panel has just always kind of looked weird. There's also some silver on the steering wheel, which I upgraded as well, but I really just want to kind of complete the look and not have any more mismatching interior parts in this car. We're going to take off all 4 door panels, we're going to clean them up, and then we're going to spray paint the wood trim silver. I was briefly considering doing a different color. Like, some people had mentioned to me doing midnight blue, but because this interior is just filled with so much black and gray as is, I want something that contrasts. And dark blue doesn't really contrast too well with black and gray. So if the car was a different color, I would definitely consider that more. I just want to go with silver though, because I want to keep that OEM look. Again, the whole point of this build that I've been doing is really OEM upgrades and making the car look as OEM as possible, and this is just another step in accomplishing that. The paint I'm going to be using for this is actually caliper paint, and the reason why I'm using caliper paint is because I used this exact same silver on my Turbo X when I painted the brake calipers. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But if you look at the color of that, that is extremely, extremely similar to the silver Aero trim color. The cap on the can matches it pretty well, and when you look at that, that is just about 100% perfect match. So even though this is meant for brake calipers, it's not going to be bad to put it on some fake plastic trim on the inside of my car. A couple short things before we get into the action on this video. One, if you're wondering why I'm not just popping this wood trim off to paint it, it's because it is plastic welded to the door panel, so if I want to take it off, I have to break it, and I don't really want to go to the junkyard and pay like $30–40 for a single door panel when I can just use an old can of spray paint that I have and some masking tape and newspaper. And lastly, if you guys want access to exclusive content and posts and want to help support the channel some more, check out my Patreon. It's linked at the top of the description below. You can even get access to videos like this before the rest of the public. So let's go ahead, move the car into the center spot, get the Turbo X out of here, and take all 4 of these door panels off. Before I get into this time lapse, I do want to say I also considered carbon, but because of all these dark colors in here, I just want something that's going to contrast more, and the silver contrasts very well with this. And there, according to the camera, is about 15 minutes to take off all 4 door panels. Pretty proud of myself. This is the only way I can open the door. There we go. These don't really need too much prep for paint. In my opinion, they already are pretty nice. They're very smooth as is, so if you really, really wanted to, you could sand this down, but what I'm going to do is just have some alcohol and some paper towels and really just kind of scrub at the area and clean it down, or wipe it down to clean it up on all 4 door panels. Yeah, that's just about as smooth as you can get. I could use some 2000 grit sandpaper. I don't think it would really make any difference at all. All the panels are cleaned up now, and honestly they're in really good shape. The driver's door right here, I'm going to wipe down the rest of this and clean it all up too, but there are some nicks and scrapes on here, probably just from keys over the years, just scratching it up, or people's or I don't know, but this one obviously gets the most use, so it's a bit more worn, but it's still nice and smooth. So I'm actually going to wipe down this now that I'm seeing how actually dirty it is, and I'll be ready to mask everything off. And yeah, there's other cleaning products that you should or could probably use besides alcohol on this leather, but it is kind of stained on here, so I figure something a little bit more aggressive might help a little bit more. I am quickly learning that masking tape does not like to stick to leather, so I'm going to figure this all out off camera, and instead of struggling on camera, I'll get back to you guys when I have everything masked off.
A few minutes later.
This is an example of another instance where duct tape is your friend. Now, should you use duct tape to mask off paint and stuff like that? Probably not. Masking tape will work just fine for that, but because leather and this plastic, rubber, whatever it is all textured, masking tape just would not stick to it. And the spots where I did use masking tape are switching between sticking and not sticking, but the duct tape, while it's not working perfectly, is working much better. So I've got all the edges masked off, I've got everything masked off on all 4 door panels. So I think it's finally time to spray again. Really, you should just be using generic spray paint, silver spray paint for this, but I'm never going to use the spray can for anything else, so I figure why not just use it here. I'm sure it'll work perfectly fine. So there's one light coat done. You can see it's still got some areas of brown in it. Obviously don't want to go too heavy. We're probably going to do 3 coats total. We'll see how it looks after the second coat though. But that's just about the color I was hoping for. So let's give it a couple minutes to dry and then go for another round. There's the second coat down. Now this isn't going to have a super glossy finish to it, which is fine because the OEM isn't really super glossy either. But it is starting to come along pretty good, I think. It'll definitely need one more coat and then I'll probably be done. But that's looking pretty good, to say the least. I'm pretty satisfied with that. The third coat was more of just a touch-up coat, just a couple spots that weren't completely there yet. But now I'm going to let it dry. If you look at that, it looks pretty damn good. If you can't tell from the shadows, it's about 6 o'clock. So I'm going to let this dry overnight pretty much. And then tomorrow we can take the masking tape off and see how it looks, see if I messed up at all. Yeah, the masking tape screwed me. So here we have quite a bit of overspray, so that is very unfortunate. It was about 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes since the last clip, so I just started peeling it off. I peeled it off the top there. Those were the 2 spots where I'd used masking tape. I also peeled it off the top of this one, and this one I checked under it seems to be completely fine, so I'm just going to leave that one as is. But this one barely has any. You can just see a tiny little bit. This one was about a mix between that one and that one, and this is a back door panel too, so I grabbed this paint marker I have for restoring buttons and kind of just touched it all up. It's still drying right now, so you can see in some spots it's not perfect, but it looks like it's kind of doing the job. So what I'm going to do is fix this overspray everywhere with this.
Tomorrow.
I've been working on this door panel right here, and I have it pretty much exactly where I want it. Those 3 still need to be worked on, but I ended up using a paint marker on the black up top, and you can see it's not even noticeable at all. All that overspray is completely gone. On the bottom, or on the leather I should say, I pretty much just used some alcohol and a paper towel and pretty aggressive scrubbing. So there's a couple little spots left right here, but this is also on the bottom of it. It's kind of like tucked up under here, so you can't even see. But what I am going to do, since I used alcohol on this, to prevent this from drying out or anything, I am going to use some Meguiar's leather cleaner and conditioner that I have just on all that leather, just to be safe, because I also haven't done it in a long time. But I'm going to go ahead and do that on this door panel, clean up the other 3 door panels, get rid of this overspray. That's the worst spot of it right there. The rest really isn't bad at all. And then we'll be ready to put them back in the car. I'm not going to film this process because it'll be pretty boring to watch, but one thing I do want to mention too before I forget is that this paint that I used is kind of like an all-in-one, so I don't need a clear coat on it. I mean, I probably could put a clear coat on it, but it already looks completely fine without a clear coat, and the color is just about perfect. So time to clean these up, and I'll catch up with you guys afterwards. I've got it all cleaned up now. It looks really good. I'm super happy with this and how it turned out. The paint marker worked extremely well on the black here, and I spent a lot of time conditioning the leather and wiping all this down again, so overall the door panels just look much better now. You can see there's a lot more contrast now with that silver stripe, and I'm realizing in this lighting, at least on the camera right now, it almost looks white. But just for comparison, I have that extra Aero shifter trim here again. And you can see just how similar that color is. So I guess I kind of got lucky in that sense. But like I said, all 4 of them are done. It's time to go outside now, throw them all back in the car, and see how it looks. There you have it, guys. Door panels are all back in. I'm pretty happy with the result. As you could tell, it matched the silver trim very well, like the shifter trim, I should say. But that's a look from the inside with the door closed. Looks just like an Aero now. One last thing I do want to point out is when I posted about this on my Instagram, I got a few questions asking why I didn't paint this silver. I'm pretty sure on Aeros this didn't come silver. On the facelifted 9.3s with a different interior, 07 and plus, this is a different looking design around here. So this trim piece, which looks different, is painted silver or carbon fiber in the Turbo X. So that's why I'm not doing it. I just think it looks fine as is, as black. But yeah, that's a good shot of the inside of it. I think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel more. It's linked at the top of the description. And I'll see you all next time.